You may or may not know that Sweden has a strong concentration of internationally recognized technology companies. There are, of course, major players like Ericsson and Sony Ericsson in the region, but there are lots of innovative startups as well. So, is Sweden and Scandinavia in general the new Silicon Valley? Let's go find out.
There's a spirit of innovation in the region, started way before Ericsson, with innovations such as the inkjet printer, which was actually invented at Lund University. The first really mobile phone, which was actually developed at Ericsson in Lund. Lund is also the birthplace of Bluetooth, for example. The region is actually one of very few locations around the world, where you can actually develop a complete mobile phone from hardware to software and to fill it with leading-edge content.
We have some of the most innovative ones, I would say, ranging from TAT to Spotify that will enter the mobile market now, etc. Not to mention Ericsson, of course.
I think there's a lot of innovation going on in Scandinavia, especially within the telecom industry or the mobile industry, where we, as history has shown, have a very strong, with Ericsson and Nokia and so on. And even, the venture capital companies that looked at us coming from Silicon Valley say that this is really interesting for us, just of the reason that you have, sprung out of Scandinavia. We have a very early adopter crowd in Scandinavia. We have great 3G networks, and this is like a sandbox for where the rest of the world many times to come, try out their new technologies.
Would you say that Sweden's the new hub of innovation? Would you say it's the new Silicon Valley?
I think there are quite a lot of app developers here, and and like graphics, which is, that's a lot of focus for us, at least, to make a really good game. From the games perspective, there are like many successful game developers. So I think that it can be a really big hub for games developers.
On the other hand, Silicon Valley has a great marketing perspective. If you look at the major web services during the last 5 or 6 years, almost every one of them come from Silicon Valley. So it's something about, Silicon Valley has built up a very great traction from a marketing perspective, where the rest of the world really looks at Silicon Valley, but Silicon Valley in itself only looks at Silicon Valley. So they never, bring in companies from the rest of the world into their, blog posts and etc.
What do you think about Sweden being the new Silicon Valley?
I don't think I don't think we can compare that, really. I think people in Sweden are a little bit more cautious about startups still. It's not like in Silicon Valley yet, I would say.
The amount of capital available in Silicon Valley makes it much easier for Silicon Valley-based companies to develop. However, competence-wise, skills-wise, we are completely comparable.
I would say California and Silicon Valley they've been talking web since web was born. So I think companies there are more. They're better at open innovation. They're better at facilitating different communities and helping foster third-party innovations.
One area that I think we are doing way too little in, and that we could do as well as anybody else, is really on the internet side, like providing services for mobile or for anything else that would work worldwide. Just look at Spotify. I don't know how much they are valued, but very high. Founded in Sweden, will be promoted in USA.
Some entrepreneurs in the region claim it's subtle cultural differences that make Swedes different from those in Silicon Valley, particularly when it comes to marketing and sales.
Now the cluster here of companies, they can only help each other on a technical level. So some of the project managers, whatever, move around, and you learn how to do good stuff that works. But what is lacking is the commercializing of things, taking it out, the salespeople, sales speeches, all of that is lacking in Sweden.
We're very good at technology-wise on wireless, but not in bringing the technologies to the marketplace. I think that's because in Sweden, technology is the most beautiful thing you can do. So the heroes are the people that are inventing new things. Sales has become more popular, but it still is not. You're not a king. Those are not the kings and queens of society.
Would you say that you're getting a lot of, help from the government or help from the industry here? Would you say that it's harboring talent at least?
Yeah, I think there's a big concentration of companies that have educated workforce, and I mean we have a lot of contacts with different companies that can help us with like interaction design, and so I think that helps a lot.
There is good support, and we got coaches like myself, and we got incubators that are really very nice, where people meet and develop their businesses, and they get support of all kinds of things, legal support, business support, networks.
Well, where we're sitting right now is called MINC, Malmö Incubator. And this is a public-funded house where startups, small startups can start their careers. So you get 2 chairs and a desk, and you sit here until you can start earning money, sort of. And the government pays most of the fee. So
there is no doubt that there are hundreds of innovative companies coming out of Sweden and Scandinavia in general. But whether that alone is enough to sustain the claim that it's the next Silicon Valley has yet to be determined. After all, there is no sign yet of a Swedish Steve Jobs.
We can't just sell copper and wood and so on. So we really have to stay on top of certain areas, and telecom is certainly the area that I think we have a chance to be and stay very competitive worldwide.
I don't know who is this Swedish Steve Jobs yet. There is no one that really have really got the stamp or the nickname. No Bill Gates in Sweden that I can see, or Steve Jobs.